First, just wanted to say thank you all for having me here. It's a pleasure. Mexico City is one of my favorite cities in all of the world. The food and hospitality is amazing. And wanted to say a special thank you to my host, Juan, from Go Virtual, who is our distributor and partner in 12 or 13 Spanish-speaking markets. As mentioned, my name is Devin Daly. I'm the CEO and co-founder of IMPEL. We are a US-based technology business. We work with around 6,000 dealerships in 53 markets, do a lot of business with manufacturers, do business in wholesale, work with all of the digital disruptors like Carvana, Vroom, Shift.com. The reason we're here today is over the last 3 years, we've done 2 acquisitions in the artificial intelligence space, and we've organically been building artificial intelligence applications for around 5 years. So, as you all know, there's been a massive amount of hype recently around generative AI and ChatGPT, and that's not new to us. Again, we've been doing this for many years. And so, what we were planning to talk about today is we believe the auto industry is really ripe for disruption and really an AI evolution or transformation, if you will, for a couple of reasons that we'll unpack more in the presentation. One being dealerships and auto retail is a very human capital intensive business. There's a lot of people employed for dollar margin. Second is specific to the Mexican market. There's changing market dynamics from new Chinese manufacturer entrance into the market that's changing a lot, has impacts on supply and demand. And lastly, again, it's because of the advent of generative AI, there's been a step change in the functionality of artificial intelligence capability. So we'll talk more about that, but I wanted to start on this slide with the 3 things that we'd really like for you all to take today. First is being able to separate real applications of artificial intelligence for automotive versus hype and buzz, right? There's a huge amount of hype. There's very unrealistic applications out there. We want to talk to you today, and this relates to the second point, about real world applications, how dealers and manufacturers today are using artificial intelligence. And then lastly, want you to hear some results directly from customers, both big and small. So we've got examples from manufacturers and large public dealer groups, all the way down to single point mom-and-pop dealerships. And so, again, AI is a unique technology in that it really transcends all market segments. Before we jump into it though, just quickly a little bit of history of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence initially came around, was initially coined in the 1940s. There's a guy named Dr. Turing. Some of you may have heard of the Turing test, which is a test that tries to determine if an algorithm is truly intelligent by seeing if it can fool a consumer into thinking they're talking to another human being. So it came out originally in the 40s, but was limited business applications. It was mostly used in academia and just high technology circles until about 10 or so years ago, when our processing capabilities, computer processors, were able to keep up. And so for the last 10 or 12 years, AI has been used relatively extensively to drive operational efficiency within business. Obviously, about 10 months ago, we saw a huge leap forward in the release of ChatGPT, which was the first consumer application of a technology called generative AI. And ChatGPT grew from 0 to 100 million users in less than 60 days. It's the fastest growth consumer application in history. Many are comparing the release of generative AI to be on the same magnitude as a personal computer or the internet or the mobile phone. And that's what we'll talk about today, is how we believe this new technology evolution will help transform auto. Before we do that though, just calling attention to the elephant in the room. We don't believe that AI is here to replace jobs or reduce employment. That's certainly not the belief of our company or why we've been investing in AI for a long time. We really believe AI, and our data shows AI can be used to effectively drive additional productivity within an organization. And so this is a study that was conducted by HubSpot, a large software company in the US, and they looked at organizations that were employing artificial intelligence, and they found that on average, they were able to free up an additional 2.5 hours per day. They were able to offload menial tasks that humans were traditionally doing. They were able to offload that to artificial intelligence, freeing up around 30% of their workday. Just think about that with your organization. If each of your employees got 30% more time back to build relationships, drive profitability for your stores, it's really, really impactful. Beyond just freeing up time, what we also find is artificial intelligence gives people the opportunity to work on more creative components of their job. And that's what you want your people doing, right? You don't want them doing burdensome, repetitive, menial tasks. You want them focused on value add and creating value for your organization. That's what you want your resources focused on. The secondary benefit is when people are doing more creative work, they generally have a higher sense of engagement, a higher morale, thus there's less turnover, and there's second-order cultural benefits as well. All of that said, and I'm sure some of you have read about this, AI is not without its challenges. You can't just take ChatGPT and plug it into a manufacturer or dealership website. It will candidly lie about your business. There's examples where GPT would offer consumers a $15,000 discount on a vehicle, or tell somebody with a very poor credit rating that they were automatically approved. ChatGPT is trained on a 2-year-old version of the World Wide Web. Just like our parents told us, don't believe everything you see on TV, GPT shouldn't believe everything it scans on the internet, what it does. So it's really critical that if you're going to invest in AI applications, you work with somebody that understands the guardrails required, that has auto-specific training data and really domain expertise to help AI drive to business outcomes for your organizations. So there's probably different levels of familiarity with artificial intelligence. So just starting with a couple definitions, and then we'll get into real-world automotive use cases. So first off, what is artificial intelligence? Just like any computer algorithm, artificial intelligence really takes in data, information, content. The difference is artificial intelligence has a human-like ability to then, from that, identify correlations, trends, and more specifically, make recommendations or decisions based on that information. And that's, again, really the distinction of artificial intelligence, the ability to make a human-like recommendation or decision based on that information. A more simple definition would be using a computer to do activities traditionally associated with a human being. What we'll talk about is really an explosive use case of artificial intelligence, which is called conversational AI. And conversational AI is really using artificial intelligence or using an algorithm to communicate with a human being in place of a human being communicating with that human being. And this can happen via WhatsApp, SMS, email, chat applications, and now even voice, where consumers are communicating with artificial intelligence by phone, and they're under the assumption that they're actually talking to a human being. This is, again, a massively high growth category. This is the category that we operate in. That is, IMPEL does not offer back-end artificial intelligence. We offer conversational intelligence. We communicate with consumers on behalf of our dealerships. And again, you can see the most patents were filed in 2021, intellectual property patents in this category of artificial intelligence, and it's expected to grow by more than tenfold over the next 5 years. What's pulled this category forward even more is what we touched on earlier, which is generative AI. So we've all heard GPT, the G in GPT stands for generative. So what is that? why is this such a unique breakthrough? Really what generative AI does is it introduces original content. So similar to any AI, it scans internet content, text, photos, video content, and produces outputs, produces content, if you will, language, video, photos. The difference is with generative AI, it's never before seen original content. So with traditional artificial intelligence, while the algorithm would still feel very human-like, there was ultimately typically a person that was writing the scripting and the verbiage. That's not the case with generative AI. Generative AI, it creates fully bespoke, one-of-a-kind content. That's why there's challenges and there's risks with using it, right? It can run wild or run amok, but it's also made a level of conversationality that we've never before seen. Conversation quality with generative AI is amazing. I'm sure you guys have seen on the internet love letters, written to your significant other, or emails written by generative AI. It's better than the majority of people that work for my company. That's the level of conversationality that generative AI has introduced to us. So we did some definitions. Why do we think auto is ripe for disruption by generative AI? Again, I think firstly, auto retail in particular is really human capital intensive, meaning lots of people for small margin. In the US, for example, the average dealership, a Main Street small dealership, has 130 employees. That's massive. So we have very human capital intensive businesses. AI offers the opportunity for infinite scalability. The other reasons, right? Buying a car is a very complicated sales process. It's a very long sales process, depending on how you look at it. 2 months, 6 months, 18 months in some cases. Vehicles are also increasingly complex, right? There's more technology in every vehicle than there was before, and it's difficult for a consumer to understand, for a salesperson to keep up with what's the BMW 5 Series features versus the BMW 7 Series features. With AI, we can automate all of that. It never makes a mistake. It understands perfectly the differences in features. And again, really can automate, we'll talk more about this, really automate a lot of that laborious kind of back-end work. So enough with some of the statistics and backdrop. Let's look at a real live demo. So this is an example of our product on Kia Mexico. It's a demo. It's in a demo environment today, but this is recorded as a video, but Juan and I have the real demo. We can show you how amazingly conversational it is today. And again, this is web chat. So this is somebody comes to the site, they have some questions, they're still an anonymous consumer. And I just wanted to show you really how conversational this product is. So I'll go ahead and play the video. Hopefully you guys can read it, and I'll make some highlights here as we go through. So you can see he wants to learn about the Sportage. You can see immediately. I'll let you guys read. Talks a lot about the technology that's included. What type of motor? Again, you can see it responds, gives you the displacement and other statistics on the engine. Again, comparing vehicles. You think about how complex and how much time this would take a salesperson to do. It responds in 10 seconds with what I consider a very conversational response comparing those two vehicles. There's 1 or 2 more questions here. Again, quickly asking about a feature. As you guys know, many consumers have one make-or-break feature. AI answers flawlessly. And then I think it'll ask, is this a good city vehicle, for example? See it answers on the questions. There's a couple more back and forth, but I know we're running behind schedule a bit. So again, Juan and I will be here through lunch. We're happy to give you more demonstrations and show you. You can ask it whatever you want. You'll be amazed at the responses. So again, earlier we talked about how AI is used for operational efficiency. Again, our AI products are installed in several thousand dealerships, and more specifically what AI helps with is reducing what has become known as organizational drag. This is a term that's coined by a Harvard Business Review author, and what organizational drag refers to is the cumulative effect of unproductive or tedious tasks that tend to pile up within an organization. And organizational drag really has a compounding or exponential effect in that when these tasks, these burdensome, repetitive things start to pile up, they slow down everything exponentially. Every decision, every process, every communication just grinds to a halt. And really what organizational drag, what this author goes on to argue is it needs to be vigilantly managed out, meaning these tasks don't just pile up at organizations that are big, old, stalwart companies, lethargic companies. Unless they are vigilantly managed out and you're always looking for opportunities for automation, they will naturally and organically kind of pile up. Again, this is where AI can really help by automating all of those repetitive processes. If you think about how much time a sales rep spends responding to questions about sending photos of a vehicle or sending a Carfax of a vehicle or does it have this particular feature, all of that can be offloaded using technology and artificial intelligence. So what I wanted to share now is a audio clip from Roger Penske. You guys may be familiar with Penske. They've got around 315 dealerships across the world. They do 7.3 billion in revenue. They sell 115,000 units. They're a publicly traded group. This is the CEO of Penske talking on a Wall Street earnings call. They've invested in our AI solutions across their entire group, and he talks about the impact on operational efficiency and organizational drag. So hopefully our translator will be able to translate this. I was just going to play this audio clip and you can listen in.
Shelley, thanks. We are committed to implementing operational efficiencies that we believe will lead to lower cost structure as we go forward. One of our key efficiency initiatives is leveraging artificial intelligence. We continue to test and implement AI solutions on both the service and sales side of our business. The AI allows us to automate tasks like answering customer inquiries and setting service and sales appointments. That allows our employees to be more efficient, provides quality support after hours. In the fourth quarter, 37,000 of our online service appointments in the U.S. were created using AI, and total online BDC appointments increased 10% to over 520,000. We continue to integrate digital solutions to automate and streamline processes to ensure consistency, our compliance, and quality control while pursuing digital sales through our preferred purchase program, our OEM digital programs, and our proprietary websites in the UK.
So as you heard there, Penske was able to set 37,000 service appointments using AI. They also saw a 10% lift in internet appointment set rate in the US. Internet appointments are about half of the appointments, so probably roughly a 5% increase in total sales for that group. What Roger didn't mention is they actually did that all while removing 30 to 40 million operating expenses. They previously had a call center model. By using AI, they're able to get rid of the call center and go back to salespeople responding to leads because the AI would do 80% of the work. So thought that'd be helpful for you all. So why do we think now, again, we talked a little bit about why we think there's an AI evolution, but specifically, why do we think the time is now for this AI transformation? I think first and foremost, again, profitability is regressing to the mean. The times of COVID and inventory scarcity is really in hindsight at this point. What we also see is there's increasing competition from new entrants into the market. And there's also potentially challenges that maintain around affordability as interest rates continue to climb, used vehicle prices continue to climb. I think Guido talked a little bit about this in the presentation earlier. The benefit of using AI, it has unlimited scalability. So no matter where you are in that market cycle, AI can scale up and down with your business a lot more easily than human capital can. So, Roger Penske has a saying, I thought I would refer back to him. He had a famous quote that said, you should never lose a customer. During the lifetime of a customer, they probably buy 7 vehicles, service maybe 70 times, and really managing the life cycle of a consumer is really critical. So what I wanted to do is just lay out all of the touch points that are required to effectively manage a consumer life cycle, starting with before they purchase the vehicle. So the sales cycle starts, let's say 120 days before purchase. At that time, they're coming to websites. You need to think about things like merchandising. You need to think about things like web chat. How do you help somebody fall in love with that vehicle? How do you help convince them that that vehicle is the right one? And how do you build trust remotely so they know that you're the dealer that they ultimately want to transact with? Once they submit a lead, that's where lead management picks up. Again, how do you respond to them quickly? Again, how do you answer their questions, give them the information they want, push them down the funnel towards an appointment? And trade-in is an important part of that also. How do you manage that trade-in process? You could theoretically build or lose a lot of trust with how you manage trade-in. They buy the vehicle, and that's when really the fun starts. If you think about, we'll talk more about this, I'll speed through it here, but when you think about all of the touch points post-purchase, from thanking them to pre-CSI survey to CSI survey, and then all of the myriad of service touch points to build loyalty within that customer base, and then ultimately, when you're going to ultimately try to acquire that vehicle back through equity mining or service drive mining or things of that nature. And so the real message in this slide is there's an enormous number of touch points to effectively manage the consumer life cycle. If you think there's maybe 22 touch points here, and you multiply that by your average dealership has 5,000 DMS records, that's 100,000 touch points required plus new customers. Do we think that that's something suited for human labor? Absolutely not. That's a job for technology in our view. So I wanted to talk now specifically how AI is being used on the sales side of the business, and then we'll move into service. We already talked about chat. On the sales side of the house, there's really 3 main issues. First is roughly a third of leads, 35% of leads, are submitted overnight when dealerships are closed. And if you think about that experience, if somebody submits a lead at 8 o'clock at night and they don't hear back until the next morning at 10 a.m., they're delayed for 14 hours. Today's consumer expects information at their fingertips. They expect immediate responses. And what we've even seen further to this is you can get into this kind of chase cycle where I get off work and I put my kids down and I submit information or respond by email, and they don't get back to me until 10 a.m. the next day. I don't respond late. It just really delays that sales cycle and loses any momentum. With AI, you can respond and answer any number of questions instantaneously 24 hours a day. Second big problem is almost half of people are in the market for more than 2 weeks. And that makes sense. If you think about a lease trade-in process, for example, you know your lease is coming due, you probably start that 3 or 4 months ahead of time to understand, am I going to buy the vehicle off lease? Am I going to lease another vehicle? What's my mileage allocation? So again, there's a lot of people that are just in the market for a long period of time. The issue managing that with human labor is even the most disciplined and the most committed dealerships we work with around the world can't follow up for more than 7 days. It's just human labor does not scale in that way. Most only follow up for 3 to 4 days, and they mark the lead as lost or dead lead, and they're leaving huge opportunity on the bone. AI is very indiscriminate in that way. It follows up for 51 days via SMS and email, so it can solve the long-term follow-up issue. Thirdly is, for whatever reason, 30% of consumers never engage. They submit a lead and they never respond thereafter, whether they, were just tire kickers, as we call them, or they got cold feet, or they realized they weren't qualified. For whatever reason, they never follow up. That 30% of people are sapping up really valuable human resources. And again, this is another opportunity for AI to step in. It doesn't pre-qualify. and it will work every lead the same via multiple channels, and allow your people, again, to focus on low funnel engaged consumers. So now I wanted to have just one of our dealerships. This is kind of in the mid-market category. This is a 25 store group. So again, we have OEM example and public dealer group. Now this is what I call kind of a mid-market group. Talk to you about the benefit that they're seeing using AI.
We utilize the AI to help us streamline the customer experience so that there's no lag in wait times, response times to the consumer, should they have specific vehicle questions or financing questions. The AI is there to answer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to make sure that the customer's questions come first. My name is Jeremy Dowling. I'm the Sales, Digital Retailing, and Implementation Director for the Roman Automotive Group in Indiana and Illinois. Prior to working with IMPEL, we would have an automated response that could go out to a customer if they requested information after 9 o'clock at night. What AI has solved for us is that customer gets an immediate response and a request for an appointment, along with any additional questions that the AI can handle at that time until we come in the morning. We're able to answer them very efficiently with the best response possible before getting a human involved. In a 30-day time period, and hours that nobody was working at the dealership, AI technology set a number of appointments. Some stores as high as 25 appointments. That's very effective when you look at the ROI on how much gross profit is in a deal right now. I think that's pretty impactful. You take that number and multiply it times how many rooftops, your ROI is pretty good. Provide better quality service to the customer that's sitting in front of us, versus the salesperson being concerned about not responding to his internet feed notification that he received while he's sitting in front of the customer. Instead, he knows that he can continue to help that customer to be more efficient getting them through the in-store process, while we know that the AI is there to handle all of the digital process until we're freed up and able to help that consumer out as well.
So that's an example of the results that dealers are seeing using AI. I skipped the prior slide just to try to speed things up, but on average, you're seeing between a 10 to 25% lift in internet appointment set rate. One thing I wanted to call attention to from the video is you saw the AI in the testimonial. They referenced the AI as being named Megan. Well, we always have a name for the AI, and you would not believe how often consumers come in, they talk about how nice Megan is, that's the AI, or they write a Google review talking about how great their experience with Megan was because she worked overnight for them, or we've even had instances where people ask the AI out for coffee or a drink. So that's how far AI has come in today's day and age, and how good the conversationality is. So we talked about AI for sales. Let's talk for service, because service is even candidly more effective and higher return on investment. We actually acquired a business that automates service communications in October of 2022, October, about a year ago, because we saw how enormous the opportunity was and that dealers were really sitting on a gold mine with their DMS data of 5,000 records, people that have already bought from you, with no way to really effectively manage that, effectively mine that gold mine. So again, we talked a little bit about the life cycle as it pertains to the entire consumer ownership. Unpacking service, again, there's a huge number of touch points related to driving service loyalty and maximizing service revenue. You think about it again, you buy the car, you want to do a thank you note, a customer satisfaction survey, and a couple of these touch points that I want to really call attention to that are critical. One is first service. So we consistently find that getting somebody back in after they buy the vehicle to service at your dealership reduces defection rates to an aftermarket independent store or to a competitive dealer by about 60%. So staying on top of that person to bring them back in after they buy the vehicle is increasingly critical. The other one I wanted to highlight is decline services. So decline services is, somebody gets recommended a $2,000 or $1,000 transmission service, they say no to it. AI can automatically follow up with those people, and that's really found revenue for a dealership to bring them back in. Hey, you declined this last week. We really recommend doing it. What was really interesting, and the secondary benefit of this, it can actually be used to acquire high-quality vehicle inventory. If I know that Juan declined 3 services in a row, the AI can be triggered to reach out to Juan. Hey, we know you got $7,000 of declined service work on your vehicle. We'd be interested in buying that vehicle and getting you into a new car. And so that's where that real kind of full circle life cycle management can come into play. We talked earlier about the importance of long-term follow-up on the sales side of the business. I would say in service, it's even more critical. If you think about it, when somebody's buying a vehicle, there's often a sense of urgency, especially if they were in an accident or, you know, they had lost the vehicle, the lease was coming to an end, or, you know, they got a new job, they need a different car for that job. There's a lot more urgency when you're buying a vehicle. With service, you feel it's a gentle reminder. I mean, I think about my car, how long my life has been on before I got the vehicle serviced. What that means is the long-term follow-up to drive service revenue is even more important. We've got 1,100 dealers using our service product. We find 60% of engagement requires 3 or more touches. Consumers require 3 or more outreaches. So again, doing that with human labor is nearly impossible when you've got 5,000 DMS records. The other points I would make here, consumers don't feel that that's pestering them. Candidly, we often see they respond to the AI, thanking the AI for following up with them, viewing it almost as a service concierge. And I think about my own, I wish somebody reached out to me, and I wish my dealer had a service AI product to remind me when I was due for, 60,000 mile service based on my driving habits, again, being that sort of concierge to me. So wanted to, again, this is a small mom and pop dealership. This is the last testimonial that we have. Wanted to just hear from them how they're using our product in the after sales use case.
IMPEL has affected our productivity and efficiency in a very positive manner through our business development center to work on more outbound marketing and campaigns of that sort versus dial sessions and trying to call customers, where this bridges that gap, does the for them. The ROI that we've seen after using IMPEL is roughly 200 to 1. For every dollar spent is another 200 that we brought in. My name is Brian Newton, and I am the service director with Fred Anderson Toyota. Service AI integrates with our current systems and processes perfectly, almost seamlessly. It pulls directly all the information that we have inputted into our system, but it also has another key function that I was unaware of, is it allowed us to clean up our DMS. What its impact has been on our business with Fred Anderson in a short time has generated over 1,500 appointments, taking our abandoned customer rate from about 4% engagement rate to about 18% engagement rate, growing our CP RO account and maintaining our used car customer business. We attempted to do our normal marketing with mailers, email blasts, that sort, but we found out that having the artificial intelligence touch with IMPEL allowed us to bridge that gap and continue to market to those customers on a more regular basis. And it actually looks like it's coming from a person, which adding that personal touch, it doesn't go into a spam folder. It looks like it's an interaction, and thus moves on to having a better engagement rate. And in this day and time, that is absolutely what we're looking for out of any marketing team. I would highly recommend IMPEL to any of my colleagues out there in the dealership world. It's an absolutely amazing tool. It's the way of the future, and it will absolutely help you in growing your business.
So again, that's a small mom and pop dealership, and I think you touched on a couple of the obvious benefits of using AI for service outreach. One is better customer loyalty and less defection. The second obvious one is more service revenue. Two of the less obvious benefits though, one is reducing the number of inbound service phone calls. A huge problem in the US in particular is 60% of service calls go unanswered. We just can't keep up with the amounts of volume. By doing proactive outreach, which includes direct DMS scheduler integration, we reduce the amount of phone call volume pretty materially. We also see dealers dynamically recommending or optimizing appointment times, right? Gaining appointments for the service driver between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. People want to drop off their vehicle before they go to work. With AI, you can recommend, hey, if you want a lower wait time or, faster experience, what have you, we recommend between 2 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The second big benefit you touched on a little bit is just the cleanup of the DMS. Because again, right now, most dealerships are not reaching out to their DMS records. Because we're proactively reaching out, we're able to glean really valuable insights, like somebody moved out of the area. They moved from Mexico City to Dallas, for example. Well, we can move them from the DMS to clean up that very valuable database. Or somebody went to a different brand, for example. Again, we'll just make it all the more effective in any other use case of that one source of truth, DMS data. So we talked about chat benefits, we talked about sales benefits, and we talked about service benefits. But what's really the benefit of having one AI covering all channels of communication? Firstly, it's real-time responsiveness, no matter what channel. In any use case for your business, sales, service, your website, having that responsiveness in today's day and age is critical. Secondly, you're gonna have one voice crossing all departments of your business. So it's not today where you've got Johnny from sales and you've got Susie from service. One AI is gonna be acting as that concierge communication person to that consumer. And what that results in is really a significant increase in consumer lifetime value. In conclusion, I showed you guys earlier that very messy slide of all of the consumer touch points that are required to manage that customer life cycle. And when we talk to dealers, that's how they feel about their strategy related to life cycle management. It's very messy, it's disorganized, they don't know, they can't keep up, they're getting all this inbound, so they can't be outbound, they can't be strategic. The biggest benefit of using AI is you've got one cohesive platform, one cohesive dashboard that really cleans up all of that communication. You know what's working or what's not. You know exactly where Guillermo is in the sales process or in that life cycle. You know where you want to invest if you want to drive a certain part of your business. It just gives you a lot more peace of mind and clarity about your consumer communications. And the last thing I'll leave you with is really using AI to manage the life cycle. Yes, it will drive more profitability, but it will also really improve the consumer experience, right? Right now, a lot of consumers have an experience, they buy a vehicle, it's the second largest purchase of their life, they fall in love with their sales rep, and then they never hear from the dealership again, and maybe they even try to call to get service and nobody takes their phone call. It's a terrible experience. By using AI, always in touch with that consumer, they know they're doing what's right with that vehicle, and again, they've got that personalized concierge touch. And what we're finding is it's not only helping maximize profitability, it has second order benefits from a reputational standpoint, from a consumer experience standpoint, and even from, again, an employee morale and cultural standpoint. So that's all I've got. I really appreciate it. Like I said, Juan and I will be here throughout lunch. We're happy to do live demos, answer questions. So thank you all very, very much.